What's up, people? Last week in Hong Kong, the former world champion BC Anand came back to play a rapid tournament of rapid and blitz, two tournaments, and we're going to analyze the best game of Anand in this event. He played a great chess in both events, in the blitz, in the rapid. He played for the team WR Chess United. He made a good performance with some interesting games. So let's analyze the games. The first game that we are going to analyze is the one between Anand and the Grandmaster of China Zhao in the fourth round of the blitz. Sorry, in the fourth round of the rapid tournament. So let's analyze the game. Anand opened with e4, c6, d4, and d5 by Zhao. e5, bishop f5. Here we have many options, as knight f3 is as the principal, bishop e2 is another principal move. h4 is very popular nowadays, c4 and knight c3. We have hundreds of moves, but Anand decides to go for bishop d3, and after bishop takes, pawn takes. Both recaptures are possible, but Anand take with the d pawn, because if black breaks with c5, you can recapture and later play d4. But okay, queen takes is playable too. e3, knight c3, knight f3, knight f5. The knight is great play here on a5, h4, h5. And here we have some ways to play. I prefer a little bit more bishop g5, and if f6. If bishop e7, this trade benefit white, because okay, this is our bad bishop and this is his good bishop. So this trade benefits white. So for example, f6, bishop d2, c5, knight d2. This could be a possible line. But Anand play king f1. Knight d2 is another normal move. But in general, I don't like this position, because we trade the right square bishop without create any danger, and black have this good bishop. This is square for the knight. This other knight is coming to d7. He's going to break with c5, and I think that black here have zero problems in the position. King f1, and now great move by black c5, breaking the center and just giving this square for this knight. After d takes, bishop takes d4, bishop e7. But here I think that black is completely fine, because this pawn is going to be weak after knight f5, knight c6. Okay, white can compensate more or less the position with his extra space, but I think that black is fine here. And here bishop d5 was better, just trying to trade bishop. Here bishop takes is not possible, because after pawn takes we are attacking this pawn, and if he defends it we can break with g4. So for example, knight c6, capture, queen d3, and the position is more or less equal, but I think that black here have no problems. Okay, g3 play by Anand, knight c6, king g2, g6, a3, rook c8, knight d2, all the normal moves. Knight d2, of course, defending d4. And here the Chinese Grandmaster goes a little bit slow. He had this problem during all the game, because okay, he had a pleasant position with the knights, but he doesn't play with so much energy. So here he played king f8 a little bit slow. Short castle was just faster, or just queen b6 is faster way to play. Okay, king f8 before king g7 and bishop g5. Finally, and understand that he should trade this pawn. And here, as in the other position that I saw, h takes g5 is not the best, because now with the king on g7 and the pawn on g6, this pawn have no problem, and we haven't the threat of g4, and we only have another weakness on g5. So here we should take with the knight at an mate, queen b6, knight f3, and here the Chinese player, okay, he made the correct plan but with a bad move order. He played knight c7, which is normal, trying to open the c file, but was stronger to just place first the rooks into the c file, and later queen a6. And of course, after that, knight e7 is coming. The problem of knight e7 yet is that after queen c2, if you play rook c7, following the plan, here white have this very strong move, queen g5, coming to queen f6, knight g5, and the tactics are going to appear in the position. Queen f6, knight g5, queen h8. So for that reason, the Chinese player play queen d8. Now, what's important to first our rooks, and later queen a6 attacking this knight and not allowing the queen to gain to g5. And if here white plays queen g5, now this pawn is hanging. So knight c7, bad move. Queen d2, good move by Anand. Queen d8, and of course we didn't want to return with the pieces, especially with the queen. Rook h1. Here rook c1 was interesting. Because if white captures now, this square is free for the knight. Pawn takes, so okay, rook e8, queen g5. Here, foul play knight c6, not the best idea, closing the c5 for the rook. Knight g8 was more solid, defending the king and keeping the c5 open. Okay, and now great move by Viciana, queen f4, keeping queens over the board. Yeah, we have more space with the e5 pawn, so we should try to keep pieces. Now, for example, this could be a normal way to continue the game. But okay, the Chinese player play queen e7, rook c3 by Alan, just doubling rooks. And now knight g5 was very strong. Okay, instead of that he played rook c5, but after b6 both rooks are traded. But okay, the machine says 0-0, but I think that BC Alan have a small advantage here because his queen is active on c1 and he have some active play with the queen and maybe a knight coming to e5. So I think that despite of the symmetrical pawn structure of the trade of the rooks and the good f5 knight, white still having a good initiative. Queen d8, queen c6, knight e7, queen b7, queen c8, and finally an one pawn, but black is going to have good counterplay. But here the Grandmaster of China cannot find the good way to find the counterplay, who was queen c2. The idea is queen e4. Very, very annoying. For example, queen e6, queen e4. And if we wait, now knight h4. That's the idea. And now knight f5. Coming here and winning material. So this could be great for black. Knight e1 was the best defense here. But okay, the game is very unbalanced. I'll play queen c4, who looks natural, but queen c2, queen e4 was stronger. Knight f4, and again, black had this idea of queen c2 followed by queen e4. Queen takes a6 and knight e3, king h3, queen f4, queen e2, and now capture and knight c2. And black is going to take one of these pawns, and the position is more or less equal. Instead of that, the Grandmaster of China cannot find the idea of queen c2, and he played knight c6. Knight e5 here was very strong. If you take queen g8, queen d8 with checkmate, and if queen b5, we can play queen c7 and queen c5. So queen b7 by bc, not the best, but okay, interesting. The only problem of queen b7 is that here black have the resource of knight x d4. This is the only option, because after knight f e7, now queen d7 and white is more active and with an extra pawn. The most important key of the position is the more active queen and the more active knights, but the extra pawn is going to help, of course. For that reason, here knight f d4 is the only hope for black. Knight g5 and now grab another pawn. And okay, white can capture on e6, but after king f6, it's not clear how white can checkmate the black king, so the position here is equal. So after miss knight x d4, knight f e7 was not good, and won the game more or less easy. So great victory for Arnan in the rapid in a very technical way. And now we're going to show another one, but this one in a tactical style. Okay, my camera dead, so I'm going to put my camera back early. Okay. Now I hope, no, I still without. Okay, now I have the camera back. Okay, let's see another game in the rapid tournament. I really liked the other victory of Anand against Maxim Chigaev, a player who is Russian, but now he's playing under the Spanish flag and he's playing in Spain. So let's see the game. Okay, that game Anand open with e4. All the 5 games that we are going to watch of BC Anand are with the white pieces. He plays just better with the white pieces than with the black pieces. In this tournament, e5 by Chigaev, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, d6 by Chigaev. I watched a game between Hans Niemann and Fabiano Caruana last year in San Luis, where Caruana tried this idea of d6 with success, and he beat Hans Niemann in the national championship. So here white have some moves like short castle or d4, but Anand goes with c3, and Tsigaev break with f5. That's the idea of the move d6. And here d3, good move by Anand, queen f6. And in that game that I said about Caruana against Niemann, Niemann plays her castle, who is a very weird move, and after f4 now the white king is a little bit exposed. So here knight b2, good move by Anand, knight g7, b4, and here Tsigaev plays very slow. He plays a6, but we shouldn't care about this pawn because b5 is not a real threat. We should play with b5, going fast for the king side, and b5 is not a real threat because just knight a5, attacking the bishop, and the knight is fine on a5. So it takes here was the best, and now d5. That's an interesting idea. And great move here, g4, because if black captures on c4, now knight e4 is coming. So this could be very interesting to see over the board. Instead of that, Tsigaev play a6, who is not the best. And Anand, he should avoid the expansion in the king side, play h4. Instead of that, he goes with a4. And now finally Tsigaev through g5, h3, and here f4 was slightly better, because the problem of h5 played by Tsigaev is that Anand now play h4 in 2 tempos, but the idea of playing first h3 and now h4 with the pawn on h5 is that after g4, white is going to have the square of g5, because if we play h4 directly, here black can just play g4, and if knight g5, h6. So for that reason, Anand play h4 just when black push h5. And g4 bad move by Tsigaev, he should keep the position open. The problem of g4 is that now the king side is closed, because with the h file, and if you push f4, and g3, f3, and if f4, g3. So the king side is completely closed, and this knight have a great square here, and white have a special advantage in the queen side. So, and the huge problem of black is this king, that this king is not going to have a safe square, because in the center the king is not happy. This bishop is controlling the king side, and gold on castle looks very scary with these 2 pawns here. So here Anand is better. And knight d8, good move. Wanted to play knight e6 to trade pieces, it takes, and now d5, great move by Tsigaev, and knight e4 against another great response by Anand, sacrificing a piece, because if d takes, and the black pieces cannot move. The square is covered for this knight, d6 is covered. Black have no move for his pieces, so great piece sacrifice. Who Tsigaev doesn't accept with trickery. He played queen f5, knight g3, queen g6, bishop b3, c6, sword castle, knight f5, and here Anand is completely winning, because like I said, this king is very unsafe, this knight is fine here, so white just need to break the position and win the game. c4 was stronger, just breaking everything. Instead of that, he take here and d4. But okay, all the time Anand is better. Doesn't matter if he makes the best move all the time, he's going to be better because this king is very unsafe. Here again this was better, but all the time Anand is better with the safer king. And only hope in the game for Tsigaev was in this moment. Here he should play with g3, trying to attack the white king. And if f4, just bishop b7, bishop a3, and now great move h4, sacrificing the a7 bishop, because after bishop takes, instead of recapture with the king, h3, trying to attack the white king. f5, queen h6, this could be a normal line. But okay, g3 was the last chance for Tsigaev to try to hold the game, because after bishop e7, pawn takes, bishop e3, trading a pair of bishops. Now let's see that the black king is still being in the center. And finally, here c4 was stronger, just avoiding the sword castle. Rook d3, but rook d3 maintains advantage, of course. Finally, black managed to go sword castle, but this king is still being very weak. Queen d3 was stronger, but rook c6, and finally queen d2, and finally entering in black position with a devastating attack. So great game by BCN, and this one in a more aggressive style. In the previous one we watched a technical game, in more position and going slow. But in this one we watched Anand playing very aggressive and winning the game, yes, in a very aggressive style. The third game that we are going to watch is against Magnus Carlsen, because okay, this was his two best games in the blitz. but in the rapid, but in the blitz he faced in the third round of the Swiss day, because they play in the first day a Swiss tournament and in the second one a knockout. And in the first day he faced Magnus Carlsen, who haven't a good tournament in the rapid, but in blitz looks like he's playing better. But okay, Anand goes with e4, aggressive against Magnus Carlsen. We are watching that Anand is playing e4 in all the games. c5, knight f3, and Magnus Carlsen decides to play a Taimanov defense. Interesting for blitz, of course. Bishop e3, and Anand goes for the most solid approach to face the Taimanov. Because all the... Okay, queen f3 here is a possibility. Queen d2 to play the English attack. Queen f2 to play f4. a4 here was... Okay, sorry, here is playable. But Anand goes for the most solid approach on bishop e2 to go short castle and play the typical plan with f4, queen e1, king h1, knight f6 short castle. Here bishop b4 is very common. By the way, Carlsen goes for normal development, of course. And here Anand play king h1, queen e1 and queen g3 faster will be another possibility. By the way, king h1 is fine, especially for a blitz. Short castle, queen e1. Here for black is better to develop fast the pieces with knight takes d4 and b5. This could be maybe better. Bishop d7, queen g3. And here Magnus made a mistake. He played b5. It's not the best. He should break the center with d5. And if e5, land the knight on e4. Doesn't matter if we lost the d4 pawn one day after white captures, because it's more important to play active. We can go back because bishop d3 or knight f3, queen h3, and the black king is going to suffer. So d5, e5, knight e4, knight takes, and this could be a normal line. Magnus Carlsen played b5, and Anna refuted that very well. He played a3. Other option was e5, yes, going directly with this breakthrough. This could be fine for white. By the way, a3 keeping the tension is fine. Rook a b8, not the best move. Takes and bishop c6 was better. Rook a b8, and finally Anna make the correct breakthrough. He have his pieces well placed, and he make the breakthrough with e5. Pawn takes knight e5, which is not good. And here Anna sacrifice the exchange. Okay, later he's going to take back the material, but he complicates so much the game with rook takes f6. Rook a d1 was easier. Just bishop d6, only move to doesn't lose, and rook f6, knight g6, knight d6. Of course, this is hard to calculate, but after all this line, white is winning. Rook takes f6 is advantage too, and good practical decision for BC. Bishop f4. Queen b6 was the best defense, giving back the material, but at least keeping queens over the board, because the white king just have 2 pawns in front of him, and this king have more pawns, and this bishop is in the opposite color of the pawns. So this was a better way to give back the material by Magnus Carlsen. Instead of that, he played bishop c6, and after all the trade, we reach this endgame where white have 2 pieces and black have a rook and a pawn to counter that. But in the same game, the 2 pieces are better, because white have a pawn majority in the queen side, who, if he plays good, can explode that and create a pass pawn, who is going to be unstoppable. Knight e4, b4. Till here, Anand was playing a perfect game. Here, he made a strange move, bishop f1. He is still been winning, but this move is a little bit strange. I prefer here just king f2, because the bishop on d3 is great place, avoiding e5. So I like king f2, bishop f1. By the way, Anna still been winning, but this was the key moment of the game. Here, if Anna find the correct move, I'm completely sure that he can win the game, because with c4, very logical, going for the a6 pawn. For example, if black captures, bishop takes, attacking a6, attacking e6, and winning, of course. And if rook b6, who looks very weird, just knight b3, and capture and knight d4, and white is going to take on b5 with a victory. But instead of that, in the key moment with c4, instead of that, bcn and play a4, horrible mistake. The move looks natural too, but have the problem of rook c2, and after all this trade, it's not easy for white to defend the b4 pawn, especially for a rapid. King f7 now. Rook b1 was better. Knight a4, and now the game turns so hard to play for BCN, and it's equal, but if this pawn falls, white is going to have problems. Rook b3, and Carlsen played well this part of the game. Here, knight h5 was stronger, just keeping the knight there. The problem of g3 played by Jan, of course, the game is not easy, but now Magnus Carlsen started the expansion in the queen side, and now g5 was better again, trying to avoid the expansion. Yeah, after that, black take the pawn, he trade rooks, and here BCN resigns because all these pawns are coming and are unstoppable. So yeah, good game of BCN. He was pushing so hard, and he had a great advantage against Magnus Carlsen, a decisive advantage, but he failed in the correct moment to secure the victory. So, but okay, he played a great blitz event. So we are going to see other 2 games of his tournament of the blitz. This one in the 6th round against a Grandmaster of China and Gao Rui. Okay, better. Yes, and as during all the tournament, he's opening with e4, c5, and we had a knight of defense, and an angle goes for the English attack. And Gao decides to doesn't play h5 and go for this position with opposite castles, b5. Here g5 is the best move, but BCN play rook g1, a move who the same BCN invented 20 years ago against Morozevich in Monte Carlo. This was the first time that we have rook g1 over the board in 2006. And in that game, Morozevich played b6, and okay, after a long game with some mistakes, finally Morozevich take the game. This time the Chinese player goes with knight b6, who was played by Aronian and Topalov. Sorry, Mangueli and Topalov against Anand. I think that Aronian had a game here against Anand too. And in these 2 games in the past, Anand employed the move knight a5 20 years ago, but for this tournament he came with the idea of g5, knight h5, and knight d5, bishop takes, and here black made a strange mistake for a grandmaster. It's very typical that in this position, now white is coming with knight a5, knight c6, and if black captures on d5, queen takes, queen a5, and okay, it's true that black wins a pawn, but white have huge counterplay for the pawn because the queen on d5 is very strong, the right square bishop is going to be harder too, c4 is coming, bishop d3 is coming, so this pawn sacrifice is very interesting. For that reason, the best move here for black is rook c8, and okay, black plays knight a5, we enter in this position, but with the rook on c8. The problem is that here the Chinese player played queen c7, and after, after knight a5, he enter in the same position, but with the rook on e8, which is better place, of course. The rook should go here. So the Chinese player lost an important tempo there. g6 and now c4, great move, thematic move, going for this pawn is very typical in this type of positions. Knight g7, takes, and bishop b5, just grabbing the pawn, and white is better with this queen in the center. Knight f5, and here queen bishop f2 was very important to play, just avoiding the queen to go to b6 or to a7, because white is going to play bishop c6, attacking the rook and offering the queen trades. And this is going to be very annoying for black. For example, if rook a b8, bishop c4, or if bishop d8, trying to activate the bishop c6, trading queens. The problem of bishop d2 is that now after queen e7 or queen b6, and Gao play queen e7, now we have the idea of bishop c6, and black is coming with bishop d8, bishop b6, bishop d4, activating the pieces. Rook g4 here was fine. Coming here, and looks like the rook is great place there. Bishop c4 by bc, and here Gao make a huge mistake, and after that move, Anand reached a great position and he won more or less easy the blitz game. Here the best move was bishop d8 with the plan of bishop b6 and bishop d4, and attacking the rook and just activating the bad piece. Here the bad piece of black is this bishop. It's okay. The rook is defending the f7 pawn. These 2 pieces are in an open fight. This knight is fine place with a spot in the 4th rank, but the e7 bishop is the only piece who is bad place. So for that reason, bishop d8 is clearly the best move. Gowrie goes for the opposite color bishop position, but this is not good because let's see the difference between both bishops. The c4 bishop is great place attacking f7, and this guy is very sad. Rook c8, bishop b3, and Alan have no weaknesses in his position. He has 3 pieces, he places everything in light squares, great move rook f1, and finally he breaks with f4, trying to attack the f7 pawn. Let's see the huge difference between both bishops. f5, and okay, he lost a piece, but everything is because he have a horrible bad bishop, so great game of Viciana with the idea of rook g1. The most important moment of the game was here. Black should activate the dark square bishop. Instead of that, he drew his good knight, and he keep the e7 bishop very bad place. And after that, won a good game, more or less easy. So okay, let's analyze the last blitz game of Viciana. In the last round, he faced another Chinese player, Nie Xinshan. I don't remember his name. He's Nie. So yes, let's see the game. This guy, Xinjiang, Nie Xinjiang. This guy, of course, Hanan is playing e4 always, and this guy goes with d5, playing the Scandinavian defense, not the most accurate against the former world champion. So I'm not a huge fan of the Scandinavian, especially if you are playing against a world champion. But okay, he wants to play this opening. Queen takes, knight c3, queen a5, d4. Here the main move order is knight f6. He played with c6, and I was at this move order of bishop d2 because against knight f6, main move is knight f3, and now if c6, bishop c4, bishop d2 no? Is the main position. But if c6, here instead of knight c3, who looks the most natural, we have this extra idea of bishop d2, knight f6, and now h3. Because if black makes the normal development, now g4 is coming. So bishop d2 here was very interesting. Knight f3, they transpose to the main lines. This is the main position. I played a game some years ago in the Madrid League with 95. The queen return and we take, and black can capture with both pawn or queen, but white is better. But Alan came with queen e2, who is fine too. Queen c7, long castle. Bishop b4 was better. The Chinese player played knight pd7, and now after knight h4, white is better because he just have the bishop pair and more space in the center. So just looks like the Scandinavian doesn't work for Nie Xinjiang. h4, just taking more space. b5, bishop d3, bishop e7, g4, b4, knight e4, and here another mistake of the Chinese player. He have less space, so he should trade pieces. He have 2 knights for only 1 square, so why don't now trade knights and reach the other square? Instead of that, knight d5, very strange move, because this knight keeps alive and it's going to create problems. Queen f3, queen a5, king b1, rook b8, and now bishop c4. Very solid. Knight g5, queen c7. And here Alan had the tactic of knight takes f7 and h and g5. Could be a possibility. But okay, he played h5, who is winning too, open lines. And the Chinese player tried knight c3, who is a good sacrifice, trying to alleviate the pressure. Now queen f4. I like the pawn sacrifice of the Chinese player. Rook d1 here was the best move, just with energy. The problem is knight h3 is that you are going back and you are losing some energy in the position. Here queen f5 or queen d6 was better. The problem of knight e4 is queen e1. Queen h4, and here knight g4, great move. Trading a central knight on e4 for a bad knight on the corner on h3. So knight d5 could be a great move. And I played bishop d3, knight f6, queen e5, and here came the decisive mistake of Nie Xinjiang, who gave Alan his last victory in the Blitz tournament. The only move here was knight d7. White can capture on g7 because bishop f6 is coming. So queen e4, and the game continues. Of course, white is better with the extra pawn. But after queen e5, he played rook b6, just blundering knight g5, and after queen f2, knight queen c7. White is very active, and this is coming. White is very active, and queen d4, and bishop b5 with tactics attacking the queen, cover attack. So finally queen c8 is coming, so the Chinese player resigned. So great tournament of my camera goes out again. In fact, that's it. So great tournament of BC Anand, who play a good chess in the blitz tournament and in the rapid tournament. So okay, I hope to see Anand playing this type of tournaments more. The last games that he plays against Gary Kasparov in St. Louis last year, but there was a Fisher random chess freestyle that like nowadays the people say. So I hope to see BC Anand playing more tournaments, and let's see. Bye bye.